as you can see, gone down the ranks this round, which is I'm quite surprised, to be honest. Got a score of 2,416, and a lot of my players did quite alright. I didn't have any particular players that did terrible. Maybe a few did a bit mediocre, but I'm really shocked. I thought at least gone up in the ranks. I'm surprised people score this extremely well, to be honest. I'm just shocked, to be honest. I really should be going up the ranks. It's just, yeah, usually 2,400 is usually a decent score. But this week it's not really that great. So we'll just check on how my team have gone down a bit. Onto defenders here. Jordan Dawson, 92. A little disappointing from Dawson. Considering, some people paid up for him, but in the last couple of rounds he's been not the best, but overall he's actually done quite well this season. So look, Adelaide got smashed this game. Should have been a 10-goal loss. So we'll just have to take, if that's his floor, that's alright. On to Tom Stewart, 91, another defender who I traded in this week who performed poorly. I was tossing up between him and Dacos, and I lost 9 points on it. I mean, it's one of he's got a better buy than Dacos, so I'm hoping hopefully he can just manage and not get suspended or injured, because that's the main issue with Tom Stewart. We know he can score. We're just concerned, will he get injured? Will he do something silly? That's the biggest concern with Stewart. I mean, Geelong did lose that game as well. So, I mean, Geelong have actually performed quite poorly the last couple of weeks. I know they've got injuries, but, their top 4 chances are sort of, hanging by a threat. Not quite yet, but it's not looking too great. On to Jack Sinclair, 160. Player of the round for my side anyway, by a fair mile, pretty much. And look, outstanding. It was one of the major reasons why St Kilda won. Yeah, his best game this season by a mile. And that's just phenomenal. Sort of helped me a little bit for not going down too much in the rankings. So, yeah, 160 from Jack Sinclair, outstanding. Clearly the best defender as well on my side this round. So, look, makes up for his other couple mediocre scores. Last week was terrible, but this week was alright. What was he? Yeah, last week was poor. It wasn't the best from last week anyway. On to Sheasel, 112. Great score from Sheasel, considering, okay score. Great score for a rookie, or a player his age, I should say. Happy with 112, and look, just going to keep holding on to him until something bad happen with him. On to Will Day, 74. Was okay in the last quarter, but was pretty mediocre for the first three quarters, I should say. Even though Hawthorn won by over 100 points, Day only got 74. So it was an even spread with Hawthorn. I think Nash and I think a few other players, got those huge scores or really big decent scores. But it was a good consistent effort with Hawthorn, which is what you want in a side. And West Coast are just I don't know, they're just a joke at the moment. To get beaten by a side who was actually below them on the ladder, and then just a side that had one game win, gets smashed by. It was just unacceptable at AFL level. That, to be honest, I reckon the VFL side could probably beat them, to be honest, or get close to them. They're that bad at the moment, West Coast. But this isn't a West Coast video. On to Adkins, 102. Yeah, outstanding from Adkins. Picking him was a good decision, although Whittle did score a bit more. Although I just think Adkins will be a bit more consistent, and Hawthorn dominated that game, and that won't happen every week. So, look, I'm happy to bring Adkins in so far. It's looking like a good trading option, and he's got the good buy, and it looks like his job security is a bit stronger now after having a couple good games. And he's also got that midfield defensive swing option too, but I don't have anyone there in my midfield as well. Just swing him in just for the use of the buys. But look, 102, happy with that. Connor didn't play, maybe because he had a poor game the other week. And same with Constable. So a bit concerned with the bench here as well with my defence, or with pretty much the whole bench line is just terrible at the moment. They're not getting games. Constable did well again, the two. So I really hope Constable gets a game soon. I don't know what he has to do more to get a game. I mean, it's Gold Coast. I mean, it's not really. I mean, it's not the easy side to get into, but it's definitely not the hardest. So I'm not too sure what's going on there. And Shinkoto, I think he had a bad game, which is probably the reason why he got dropped. I'm not too sure. The major reasoning behind other reasons why that could be the case. Hope he gets a game soon because we need him for the buys or just another emergency option, just in case another injury happens, which is likely to occur the way we're going, the way the season's planning. On to the midfield, 112 from Bontempelli. Chose him as captain, lost 8 points off Oliver, which isn't a huge deal. That's not the reason why I had a mediocre score this round. Because a lot of other people sort of did the same thing. Well, no one really gained an advantage with the captain. You know, mate, look, I'm not going to expect Sinclair to get 160. I was thinking that Bontempelli, Oliver, more likely, you know, they're more safer picks as a captain option or VC, but none of them really lit the world on fire. Even though Bulldogs won pretty easily, Bontempelli, you know, it was an even spread as well for the Bulldogs. You know, yeah, it didn't really particularly dominate as much as what we wanted. And Oliver, I mean, he had a great third quarter, but was mediocre for the rest, for the whole game, really, for the other 3 quarters, just like Melbourne were. I mean, by Oliver's standards, I should say. I mean, look, 120 is good for nearly most other players, but, I mean, look, Melbourne were probably, you know, got outplayed for 3 quarters of that game and deserved to lose it. I mean, they almost won it, really, and they were far off it. They went far off their best as well. So, look, 120 is okay, but for a VC or a captain option, you want a bit more. I mean, it wasn't the reason why I didn't perform that. My team didn't do that well this round, I guess. Noel Anderson, 73, probably the biggest disappointment out of sort of the premium players that I have in my squad. It's just, yeah, look, even though brought him in a couple of weeks ago and he just hasn't performed as well as what I want him to. See, look, mate, it could have been a bit of a trap, Anderson, considering Miller's out, but it looks like they've got a few other players who have stepped up a bit. They did lose as well. Brisbane against Brisbane up there, it's always going to be one of the harder fixtures and probably one of the hardest matchups, I would say. See, look, hopefully it's a one-off. That's his floor. He's still fairly young, but I'm hoping he can bounce back soon. It's just a bit frustrating when you pay a player for a certain price point and they don't deliver. Rory Laird, 145, happy with that. Even though Adelaide got smashed, he still scored well, which is a little bit surprising considering they played poorly, but he's one of the few players who stood up and probably would have lost by even more, over 10 goals or whatever the score was if he didn't play. So happy with Laird. On to Tom Green, 119. You know, just your standard score from Green. Alright score. It's probably the best player this season for GWS, to be honest. Warple, 91. I mean, not terrible, but, you know, I was expecting over 100, to be honest, against West Coast, and a lot of his other teammates did. He just hasn't, lived up to the expectations that I thought he would, Warple, to be honest. I thought he was at 2019 when he won Hawthorn's Best of Fairest, I believe. I thought he just hasn't lived up to that form. That's what I want him to. And I think, well, against West Coast, he should be scoring a minimum 100, and he just wasn't too far off it. I mean, not a terrible game. I mean, majority of the Hawthorn players performed well. I mean, it wasn't particularly hard against a terrible West Coast side, but look, I still made a bit of money off from him. I think it was at 100k, but I was hoping he could get to at least 450, 500k, and I'm just going to have to hold on to him at the moment because there's also another injury with Oliver, which we'll get to later on in the video. On to Humphrey, 101, another good selection I've made so far that's planning out. And look, yeah, I guess he's living up to the hype, isn't he, for a first round selection in the draft. And he's a forward midfielder as well, so that could go in handy during the buys if he keeps his spot, which I reckon he should now after a couple of good games. He's actually been probably one of the better players in the last couple of games, or at least in their top half players. So his job security should be secured at least for a couple of weeks now, hopefully. Yeah, on to Sharp, 47. He got subbed off, even though he wasn't playing that poorly. He's kicked a goal, so I know that's not a good sign, getting subbed off. He's probably the player that's going to go out of the Brisbane side once they get a few players back in. And he's probably a player with, I sort of looked into it, and it was sort of for this round, because I'm going to have to get rid of LDU, looks like this week, for Zach Merritt, because he's got an easy run. And with Parrish out, that's probably what I'm going to do. And that should get rid of at least Sharp off field, and at least have only Humphrey really on field. And I think the midfield's pretty good. Maybe Anderson's probably one that's been a bit of a trap. Other than that, I would say you've got maybe Warple's another one that needs to go. But I think there's other issues. You want to get rid of the rookies off first. So that's another play that I'm going to have to do. But look, Sharp's still made a bit of money. Hope he keeps his spot. Who do Brisbane got next week? Because they've got they've got Adelaide. Probably, it's going to be a 50-50 call, I think, if he's going to be in next week. In terms of the bench, Johnson did playing, actually. So it was as a sub, but still got an okay-ish score for a sub, I guess. I mean, it's not particularly great. He still made a bit of money. I mean, it's not a disaster sub score, I would say. You probably want a little bit more. So if he does get a full game in next week, hopefully, it's going to be tough now since Freo's in good form. It's just a 50-50 selection. Because he's probably in their best 26 players, I'd say. So, I mean, if you can at least get a game during the buys, that might help us. As long as he doesn't do something silly, because that suspension sort of cost him a bit. Otherwise, he was doing a bit mediocre, to be honest. But, I mean, if that's the only rookie we got playing that's in the midfield, or one of the few, I mean, that's just... Fortunately, that's what we've got. I think there might be a few that are coming on the bubble. I need to look into that. And obviously, Roberts and LDU has to go. Unfortunately, I couldn't really do it last week despite using the boost, because I need to get rid of Hopper out, and I just need to sort out my defence and bring in Stewart. Odds of the rucks here, and we've got Marshall 126, decent score. So holding him has been like a good idea. He's happy with that. Sean Darcy 91, a little disappointing. Sean Darcy lost a few points off English. I mean, it wasn't the main reason why I scored mediocre this week, but I mean, it's not terrible. But even though Frew won as well, I was happy for that 110, 120 scoring. But look, we all know Darcy can, pump out that 150, that 160 score at some point. Who'd have Frew got next week? Melbourne, which is probably the hardest matchup for him. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be a really tough game for him. And at the G as well. I mean, Freo did beat Melbourne there last year. But that is going to be a tough matchup, and I'm not looking forward for Darcy for this particular match. It's going to be rough. If you can get at least 100, I'll be happy with that, I guess. It's going to be a tough matchup. Gordon Grundy, can't really think of a tougher match for Darcy, to be honest. I mean, he is a good ruckman, though, so we'll just hope. And Radaglia, pumping out. He's doing well, Radaglia, now. 75. Yeah, he's back into form, and he's safely secured his spot, and that should be cover for the buys. But I may have to flip him, depending how we go, if there's a rookie on the bubble, and get that extra cash, which might help me to make one of my last few trades. But he's definitely a hold for now, as an emergency option, unless there's a ruck forward that comes up in the forward line too, which could come in handy, because we'll talk about in a minute. And on to the forward lines, we've got Dunkley, 153, great score from him. I mean, he scored more than some of these other captain options we've had. Brisbane won pretty easily in the end, but Gold Coast did, make Brisbane work for it in the for the first three quarters anyway. So look, 153, we'll take it. Everyone's got Dunkley, so I'm not going to go too much into it. Taranto, 118, just an average score. I mean, Richmond and Beerfield were okay. Merritt was a lot better though. And look, I mean, just a standard score for Taranto. There's not much into it. Goulden, 96, a little disappointing from Goulden. Sydney were pretty average, to be honest. They didn't deserve to win that. I mean, that's a whole separate video, that game, or that one particular section of the game. We want that with the interchange. That doesn't really have anything relevant to Supercoach-wise anyway. So, look, 96 is okay, but, it's wanted probably a little bit more from Goulden. And Connor Rosie, 140. Look, another reason why Port Adelaide won. Him and Butters just killed it, particularly Butters. And yeah, 140. That's a great score from Rosie. And Mitchell here, 82. He's performed well. He's one of the few rookies that have done well. We sort of needed him to do well, to be honest. That sort of saved my season a little bit as well. Not saved it, but it's sort of helped me, with just to have that extra, player that would help me during the buys, I reckon, as well. Van Ruin, 59. Look, mediocre. Unfortunately, Chandler got an extra 30 points on him, and I got rid of Chandler so I can. Look, he still lost money, Chandler, anyway, so it wasn't a big deal in cash gen wise, but some people still had him on field. See a few less sides having him though. So look, Van Ruim, he might have to go this week. I just have to look to see who's going to bring in for him, but look, at least it's not a terrible score, so it's not going to lose too much cash. Or it's not going to, the break even is not going to be too high. It just gives away a few too many frees, Van Ruel, and that's the issue I have with him. Otherwise, he's made a decent amount. He's another one I'm probably going to hold, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. And then as the bench options here, we've got Davey, 41, which is okay. Not the ideally you want a 60 or 70. He's another player. He kicked a decent goal as well, but with Davey, he needs to be at least kicking probably 2 or 3 to get that 60 or 70 or even 80 score. He's actually lost money. That's due to that 7 in his system though, and that's a huge problem. Once that 7 is out of the system, he should hopefully then generate some cash. To be honest, I'm just going to have to hold on to him as an emergency option, to be honest, because that's all I really have. He hasn't made enough money for me to really trade him. And he seems to be like an okay emergency option. In terms of trades, I haven't decided yet, but I think a LDU to a Merit, even though Merit got 160 this week, which just didn't work out with the structure, and I was hoping for like another defensive, rookie to get rid of McKenna, which I traded out. I needed to get another defensive rookie to trade him out, and then I could probably use that cash to sort out the midfield a little bit better. But then I needed to get Humphrey in and Sharp. Sharp was. It still generated me extra cash anyway, so I gained another 120 cash anyway. And it just would make it, I needed to get Stewart in as well before the buy. So, look, what we're going to do here, I think, get LDU for Merit. And in terms of the rookies, I still haven't decided yet. If there's any that's on the bubble, we're looking to be, we might have to take a gamble here. Because I know a few of the North players did alright, and some of the few Hawthorn players did okay. We're going to have to look at that. Otherwise, in terms of future trades, I think Day's been a little disappointing trading him. Sort of got better by his price point, but in saying that, he might be the D. If I might not have enough money to fully upgrade the defence anyway. I might just have to have him at D6 anyway, to be honest, if you're going to be strapped for the cash. So that, in terms of my defence, it's probably, look, Sheasel and Atkins are probably definitely Atkins would have to go at some point, but that's not until after the buys. Shinkotta's, that's not looking a bit uncertainty if he's job security now. I know they were playing Collingwood, so if they play a crap team or Sydney, it's going to be a crucial game for both sides, to be honest. I think the loser probably won't make finals, to be honest. And even then, it's going to be difficult. Because you've got sides like Essendon who won, and they're going to be playing for the top 8, and we've got North Melbourne and West Coast twice. You would think 4 wins there, plus a few other sides, that are winnable. So, look, so defence looks to be okay. It's still a bit hesitant with Day. Bit of a trap, but not a trap, but a few concerns. He's unable to get 100 against West Coast, and in terms of midfield, you'll probably want to get rid of Sharp off as soon as possible. Keep him as an emergency option, I guess. And then you got Humphrey, which he's going to keep his spot anyway for at least the next few weeks. And then you've got Warple here, which is probably a player who eventually want to get out, but he's probably one of the last ones to get out. Maybe when Hawthorn have their bye, it's probably the best time to do that, I would say, or an optimal time to do it. and he will probably get rid of him for maybe a Lockie Neal, some underpriced primo, or maybe someone else. I'm not too sure. Rucks will just have to keep it as it is. That's not our concern for right now, even though, I mean, English is probably a nice option, but it doesn't really matter, to be honest, and I reckon. That's not the issue I have on my side. In terms of the forward line, probably want to get Van Rulen off as soon as possible. I'm not too sure how we're going to do that at this rate. Other than that, I mean, even though I didn't do that well this week, it's not looking too bad. It's just the injuries seems to be the huge concern, I reckon. Overall, okay. I mean, it's just mediocre. Very disappointed I've gone down in rankings. I was 10k a few weeks ago. I was looking heading in the right direction, but I just think some of the players getting injured sort of just hurt me. And then I think Ridley did well this week too, and I traded him out last week, or was it last week? So he was probably one that I should have held, perhaps, but then I wouldn't have been able to bring in some of these other players. So, I can't win. So look, we'll just have to wait and see. I still reckon I can get back in the top 10k soon. I reckon that in a few weeks' time, I reckon I can if things go my way. It's really got to come down to the bye rounds, I reckon. Whoever plans that well is going to go up in the rankings, I reckon, pretty significantly. Alright, well, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Let me know how you've done in the comments.